But first, again, let's just talk about the Chicago Bulls. The hits just keep coming for them. First, Derrick Rose. Now, Jimmy Butler is out. Butler is expected to miss 3 to 6 weeks with a sprained left elbow. Silver lining, if there is one, he will not need surgery. But take a look. Butler and the Bulls hope the rest will give him some time to come back sooner than later. But unfortunately, they have so many people injured. They got Derrick Rose with the knee out 4 to 6 weeks. Taj Gibson, an ankle. He's out at least for 1 week. So here is the question. What about the head coach? For that answer, we welcome in a very worthy crew. I was going to say motley crew, but a very worthy crew.
Both work.
A motley and worthy crew. We have, obviously, Kate Fagan with ESPNW. Thank you so much for being here. Danny Cannell.
How's it going?
How are you? You're a regular.
Fantastic.
Okay,
it's
good.
my last day of the week, though. I'm on vacation after this.
No!
So bring it today.
Slacker. All right. And then, of course, the radio, the voice.
Hey.
My man, Freddie Coleman. How are you?
I'm doing good, Carrie. How are you?
I'm doing well. So let's talk about Thibodeau, shall we? Whispers of his demise are getting louder because of this reason. Championship season gone, appears to be anyway, for the Bulls. So what does this all mean for him in terms of the injuries and them not expected to go far in the postseason? Kate, you first.
Well, I feel like I've seen this movie before, okay? And it played out on the West Coast with the 49ers and Harbaugh. So let's back it up. Because I think everybody knew who Thibodeau was before he was hired with Chicago. He was a tough guy. He was a grueling coach. He was disciplined. He had his philosophy. Chicago Bulls bring him in. Of course, he keeps that philosophy. All right? And he wins because since 2010, the Chicago Bulls have the second most wins in the Eastern Conference behind the Miami Heat. And yet there's a lot of discord between management and between ownership and how they feel like he coaches this team. There's a lot of whispers, and sometimes not even whispers, it's like yelling, that his grueling nature has led to some injuries, that his practices are too hard, that he keeps guys on the court, like Derrick Rose is on the court with 2 minutes left the day before they announced his meniscus tear. He plays Jimmy Butler 60 minutes in overtime games. Okay, so he's a winning coach who's tough but has discord with ownership. Now you have 2 injuries here. Derrick Rose, Jimmy Butler, those are the key ones. And nobody in their right mind, I think, believes the Chicago Bulls team is going to be able to win the NBA title this year. I think they win 1 round at most, which leads into an offseason where I think 100% Thibodeau is gone. With all of this playing out, and I think we've seen it before. And as soon as he's fired or mutually agreed to part ways, he's snapped up in an instant.
I'm with you. I think this is it. I think the writing is on the wall. I think it's a great analogy, too. I didn't really put that together with the 49ers, but a similar type situation where there is this rift between ownership, management, and a head coach. Jeff Van Gundy even brought it up during a broadcast. And I'm sort of in Jeff Van Gundy's camp where I don't necessarily agree with it. I think it could be, an unnecessary move for the Bulls to make. I think he's an exceptional coach. I like his style of coaching. I like the fact that he preaches defense, which you rarely see anymore, that he does ask a lot of the guys to play a lot of minutes. But I think it is becoming an issue. And I think Coach Thibodeau would have to make some adjustments, some concessions, if he wanted to keep his job. And I don't think he's that type of personality by any means.
Right,
I think
just like Harbaugh was.
True. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So I do not see this ending well. I'm not saying it's the right move. I think, the Bulls have been knocking on the door, and we've been waiting for Derrick Rose. Here he is yet again. Now you've got Pau Gasol. His minutes, he's up there playing more minutes than he's ever played in his career, and he's not getting any younger. So you're almost seeing the exact opposite of what you've seen with the Spurs and what Popovich does with his players, where he's resting guys. You are seeing these guys play a ton of minutes. The interesting thing about it for me is in the NBA, we usually, typically, if the players were not happy, they would voice their concern, their disgruntled nature, and they haven't. So I would take that into consideration if I was ownership and say, look, we're close, we're on the cusp, we just haven't stayed healthy. Try to work something out with those minutes, taking it easier on the guys, but it is sort of this force of wills coming together, and I don't see it ending well.
I'm going to give Thibodeau more than another chance to have another year. And you guys make compelling points because, Kate, we had to say about driving players and driving them hard, Danny, with the discipline and the ownership and the discord and everything like that. But Derrick Rose and Jimmy Butler didn't get injured because of Tom Thibodeau. Jimmy Butler got injured because no one wants to run to DeAndre Jordan on the screen.
Yeah.
You run into him on the screen, good luck to you dealing with that. And look at the injuries that Derrick Rose has suffered. You want to put down on Tom Thibodeau, the one playoff game against the Philadelphia 76ers, exactly. He should not have been out there. You're up by 20 points in game 1 of that series. There was no reason for Derrick Rose to be out there. But Tom Thibodeau has made adjustments to try to make sure Derrick Rose can pace himself. Same thing with other players. He's trying to slowly do that because he clearly understands that you can't continue to run these guys into a wall. They have nothing left coming when the playoffs roll around. This is the most talented team the Bulls have had since Tom Thibodeau has been there offensively. You bring in a Pau Gasol. Jimmy Butler's been terrific, even though he's going to be out. You also look at the contributions that the management have not made to help him with a backup point guard. Nothing against Aaron Brooks, but Kirk Heinrich, those are the two guys they have to go with until Derrick Rose comes back. And if he does come back, what is he going to be like? Management, I don't think, has done him a solid trying to help him out the Derrick Rose situation, because you have to consider this. If he's already had back-to-back knee injuries, the likelihood that's probably going to happen with the kind of style he plays, you need to have a quality backup point guard in case that was going to happen again. So I don't know if management's going to give him that break, because maybe it's gotten to the point where no one wants to be around each other. He's sick of them. They're sick of him. But they still have one of the easiest schedules in the regular season. 37-23 right now. Out of their final 21 games, only 8 against opponents with winning records. So there's still time they can manage this and not go below a 4 seed or a 5 seed and still get home court advantage in the first round. I think he gets one more year. I don't know if he deserves it.
I don't know if he wants it.
I don't know if he wants it. That's fair too. But I think if management's really smart, they'll look at this and say, if he's made that adjustment, try to help us out with Derrick Rose, then we're just giving up on a guy that's going to be snapped up by somebody else real quick, and that could come back to haunt us. I wonder if the Bulls are willing to do that just to save face or try to say that we can bring somebody else better than Coach Thibodeau.
But let me ask you a question. How far do they go in the playoffs? They make it past the first?
I'm with Kate. They get past the first round because I can't see them beating the Atlanta Hawks in the second round. I can't see them beating the Cleveland Cavaliers in the second round. I'll say this.
But this was supposed to be their year. You know, there's
on paper they had.
But Danny, we hear that all the time.
Transition.
We hear that all the time. It's supposed to be their year.
Exactly.
And you don't, in a playoff situation, you just don't know what's going to happen. The one thing that I think that's helped the Bulls, the Washington Wizards are not the team we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the season. Toronto has really struggled as well. Kyle Lowry's played well, but DeMar DeRozan has not been able to step up. You wonder about that team. The only two teams, in my opinion, that could beat them in the series are the Atlanta Hawks or the Cleveland Cavaliers. You're going to face one of those teams in the second round. If anything, a better matchup for the Bulls may be the Atlanta Hawks, because they play a similar kind of style. It's easy to defend with the length they have inside when Taj Gibson comes back and Pau Gasol. Mirotic, I think, is going to really play a part for this basketball team in the playoffs. But Cleveland, their athleticism, as good as they are defensively, that athleticism will bother the Bulls a lot more than the Hawks, who share the ball a lot, and it's easy, I think, to defend them than a singular talent like a LeBron James or a Robin to his Batman and Kyrie Irving.
I do think the Bulls are going to get out of the first round, but I'm not convinced. Okay, I'm not even convinced that Derrick Rose is going to be able to come back and play in any sort of fashion at all.
I have zero confidence.
I don't think he's coming back, to be honest. I mean, I think in a way I've made a parallel between his career and Stuart Holden, the soccer player. Tons of promise, and then in the prime of their careers, just blow after injury blow. I don't know that Derrick Rose is going to come back and help this team get out of the first round of the playoffs.
And he has no sense of urgency, and I don't blame him. And everything from his comments has said that. He's been very forthright and out front, which I appreciate from him, but he's like, hey, I have a future to worry about. My knees long term, so I don't see him rushing back here either. I will say this, because I think when you look at Tibbs and you look at the way he coaches and the style of, playing these guys a lot of minutes, Jimmy Butler, leading scorer on the team, ton of minutes. I want to say he's like in the top 5 minutes played in the league. And it's not Tibbs' fault.
Right, you can't take 20 points out of your lineup.
Well, but it's not his fault when he sees it, when you get that shoulder and you're like, he didn't hit come out there. But I will say this, when you are playing that many minutes, and this is where you get kind of in the finer points of, all right, you can go analytics, you can go look at the style they play, but when you are playing that much, you're worn out. So you don't spend as much time working out in the weight room on your day off. You're tired. You're exhausted. So your body starts to break down, so that when you have these seemingly, just bumps across, because, it didn't look that bad. It didn't look like he should have been out for 3 to 6 weeks because of this little bump. But your body wears down, so you become more susceptible to those. I would say he'd be great to take a page out of Tom Coughlin's book. Now, that was different, his coaching style, although maybe he could lighten up some too. But Coughlin, the players, there was this close to a revolt on the Giants. The players are saying, we don't like this old style of coaching. Yeah. He adjusted, and look what happened. They went on and had success.
Freddie, you think that Derrick Rose is coming back?
I'll say this. even if he comes back, what kind of Derrick Rose are we going to see? Because he can't continue to play what I call that slalom kind of basketball where you're jumping and you're cutting and you're doing this and you look like Peekaboo Street going down the ski ramp. He can't play that style anymore and think that that's going to work because apparently his knees and his body have shown you can't do that. I will say this, if the Bulls shut him down, Thibodeau will not be back next year because that's their way of telling him, you know what, we're not going to have him play for you and potentially get worn out again. We'll take our chances that another coach will come in, he'll be a lot healthier, and we'll just start from scratch. If the Bulls say, you know what, if Derrick Rose, you get clinched, are you ready to play, and Derrick Rose say, I'm ready to play, then you know what, maybe they say, okay, we're going to be all in to see what happens. But if they shut him down, Thibodeau is done. They're going to call that a wrap because they don't want him wearing down their main guy that they still owe close to $50 million between now and the end of his contract in 2017.
I think when you look at Derrick Rose, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if he can transition his game to a different style of player.
He's going to have to.
Because
he's
can't
already
play
started
that aggressive.
to.
Right.
Derrick Rose 1.0 is gone.
Right.
We started to see before the All-Star break Derrick Rose 2.0. He was driving to the hoop. He was less Peekaboo Street, as you said.
Yeah. Or Lindsey Vonn, you know.
Exactly. He was less that player already. So I think if he does come back next year, because I don't think he's coming back
be
this
even
year,
more reserved.
he will continue to evolve his game to be less.
I hope so. You better improve that jump shot. That's broken.
Right.
He needs to fix that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on and talk about James Harden yesterday.